Okey, selamat sejahtera. Diminta Puan Nuza untuk tampil ke depan. Okey, Puan Nuza, kita semua dah bersedia dah. So, kita punya penceramah pun dah sampai. So, Puan Nuza dah boleh mula. Terima kasih.
Okey, Cikgu Sifah tak ada baca doa ya? Cikgu Sifah dengar tak suara saya?
Dengar Puan, dengar.
Okey, ada baca doa? Tak ada? Ada baca doa ke? Tak ada? Okey, so tak ada siapa, mungkin sebab macam semalam ada yang kirim baca doa, so sekarang ni tak ada. Okay, so saya rasa kita mulakan teruslah ya. Okey. Assalamualaikum, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, terima kasih kepada semua. Dan yang berbahagia Dr. Siti Taniza Toha, Presiden Peka Malaysia, yang berbahagia Barisan Kepimpinan Peka Malaysia, Barisan Ahli Jawatankuasa Peka Malaysia, dan Barisan Urusitia Seminar Antarabangsa Kaunseling dan Psikologi Peka 2022. Selamat datang kembali kepada semua peserta seminar antarabangsa kita kali ini. Kita bertemu lagi di hari terakhir ya. Seminar antarabangsa kita pada tahun ini, tahun 2022. Okey, sebelum saya meneruskan slot petang ini, izinkan saya untuk bercakap dalam bahasa Inggeris kerana penyampai tajuk kita selepas ini kami bawakan khas dari bumi Gaza, Palestin. Okey, insya-Allah sekarang ni participants masih lagi 30, insya-Allah akan bertambah lagi, will be added more. Alright, my name is Nuzha Muhammad Taha, a lecturer of UNITA International University and a member of Peka 2. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me introduce our speaker for this evening slot. He has given me a lengthy of CV and I try to summarize it for all. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Hamza. Okay, how are you? Alright, so with the title Humanitarian Crisis.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Okay, with the title Humanitarian Crisis, the Resurgence of Palestinians, or in BM, Krisis Kemanusiaan dan Kemahiran Bangkit Semula Rakyat Palestin, the talk will be delivered by our big-hearted brother here, Mr. Hamza Al-Darawi. Mr. Hamza is currently an MBA student in Islamic University of Gaza. Okay, English and Arabic translator, media management for INGOs, social media manager, there are lots more. Okay, content writer, tour guide, honorary youth ambassador, and has experience in international NGO work for 10 years. Now, he is a CEO of Give Humanity Gaza, and he has also a vast experience in Amman, Palestine, and has been a correspondent person on events with TV3, TV9, TV Al-Hijrah, Radio IKIM, and Asra Awani, since 2014 until 2020. So it means here that being invited to talk to Malaysians is not an awkward matter for him. Okay, to all ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters here, along with his talk, if you would like to ask any question, recommendation, suggestion, you could type in the chat box. You can also text in DM. I'll try to translate it for him. But please don't ask me to translate into Arabic. Okay, jenuh saya nak cari perkataan nanti. Alright, so or you can just turn on your mic to ask any question at the end of this session later, right? Okay, so Brother Hamza, I feel that might be that you are ready, yeah?
Yeah, Bismillah.
Bismillah. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to call upon Mr. Hamza Al-Darawi to deliver his talk on humanitarian crisis, the resurgence of Palestinians or krisis kemanusiaan dan kemahiran bangkit semula rakyat Palestin. Over to you, Brother Hamza. فليتفضل مشكورا.
جزاكم الله خير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن سار على دربه واهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. First of all, I would like to thank you for organizing this session and organizing this seminar. The organizer Peka and Counseling Malaysia, Peka, Association Counseling Education Malaysia. Sorry, I can't pronounce the name in Malay, but I would like to thank you for organizing this seminar. President of Peka, Dr. Siti Tanzia, or Tanisa, sorry if I mispronounced the name, leadership of Peka, the committees and all participants. I would like to send my regards and to send the salam of the people of Palestine to our beloved brothers and sisters in Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, I'm talking to you from Gaza Strip. And this is one of the things that I wanted to begin my speech with is that even though, can I just share my screen? So I guess you can see my screen now. Sister Nuzha, is it clear?
No, not yet. Not yet appeared. Wait. Oh, yes. Okay, now it's appeared.
Okay, thank you so much. So I would like to speak about the humanitarian crisis and the resurgence of Palestinians. As Palestine is one of the hotspot areas and one of the most just issue in the history of the world, as it has been under occupation since 1948 until now. And the issue of refugees, the issue of humanitarian work, the issue of good deeds and charity work, and the issue of coma, urgent intervention, and all those humanitarian terms. We have heard them first thing all the time in Palestine, but I just want to begin with the distance between Jerusalem and Malaysia, and to share that even though from Malaysia to Gaza or to Jerusalem, there are 7,600 kilometers, but we feel that we are very close. We are very far in distance, but very close. And what makes us very close is the ukhuwah in Islam, the brotherhood in Islam, and the share of the humanitarian sense, the share of charity, the share of the good deeds, the share of the same feelings. That we always share the same feelings. We feel the pain of the people in Malaysia, and the people of Malaysia feel the pain that the people of Palestine go through. Well, as a beginning, I just want to make a brief summary of the situation that we have been since very long ago until now, is that Palestine has been all to Palestinians before 1917 and before the Balfour Declaration that he has announced Palestine to be a country for the Jews from all over the world, to bring the Jews to Palestine, by Palestine, and to displace the owners, the indigenous owners of Palestine, and kick them away in a war or in a barbaric war that has destroyed the houses and the belongings of the Palestinians in 1948 until today. That has the sin of Balfour. The people of Palestine are living its effects until today. So if we go through 1946, we see the white dots, how the Israeli occupation began with spreading in small colonial settlements, and then going into the 1947 war, when they occupied most of Palestine and displaced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, dismissed them from their houses and kicked them out from their houses, and committed the heinous massacres and the barbaric aggression against them that began in 1947, 1948, and is going on until today. If we go to the 1967, we see what's been left from Gaza Strip, from Palestine, which is only Gaza Strip and the West Bank. And the 1967, the Israel occupation continued the occupation of the rest of Palestine, including Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. And we see how the map of Palestine, the green, which belongs to the Palestinians, is being shrinking And while the Zionist entity or the Zionist colony is being expanding as a cancer in the map of Palestine. And as we see now, even the West Bank is being divided into very small cantons, very small villages, and been connected through crossings that is being controlled by the Israeli occupation. And this is another explanation of what has been going on, the seizing of the Palestinian lands along the history. And again, Israeli occupation is the cancer that has been eating the land of Palestine a long history since 1948 until now. And I want to begin with some of the facts. If we want to speak about Palestine and want to speak about, if we want to speak about Palestine and the humanitarian crisis that the people of Palestine are going through, well, at least we have to have some facts, to have some numbers to speak. The situation is being here. Well, first thing, if we look at on the map to see the population of Palestine, well, Gaza Strip, as to the latest statistics, living the population of Gaza, 2.3 million people living. If we look down on the map on Gaza Strip, we see 2.3 million people living in Gaza Strip in a very tiny enclave, 365 kilometers or 365 square kilometers. And the people, 2.3 million as the latest statistics of by the end of 2021. These are the latest statistics. And Gaza Strip is considered one of the most densely populated areas on Earth. When I say one of the most densely populated areas on Earth, means that it has its effects, the side effects, the repercussions of what's going on of the densely populated with a 14-year-long siege in Gaza, which makes Gaza the biggest open-air siege on Earth that has been under the siege for since 2007 until today, and the siege is going on, and this continues and has its effects on the people of Palestine, and especially the people of Gaza, where there are no crossings, or the crossings are being 100% controlled by the Israeli occupation. And later on, I will share a slide about the crossings of Gaza and see how they control Gaza. As we see the Mediterranean Sea, so all the sea is totally controlled by the occupation. The north side of Palestine is controlled. All the rest of Palestine, of Gaza, the borderline is being controlled by the Israeli occupation, which they also control everything that enters Gaza, which means that they let in the minimum of the goods, the minimum of the medicine, the minimum of reconstruction materials, the minimum of everything, that just to make the people alive, and they are not being satisfied with the things that they need. They control the medicine, which means they don't allow most of the types of medicines. They control the fuel entering to Gaza and the gas entering to Gaza, which means that they don't allow any sufficient amounts to be entered to Gaza, but they control all the amounts that they enter just to give it to the minimum, which means it will has its side effects and repercussions of the humanitarian life. Well, if we go to the West Bank, now Jerusalem, the West Bank has 3.2 million people living in the West Bank, and of course those are being spread out into the Palestinian cities such as Bethlehem, such as Ramallah, such as Nablus, Jenin, Hebron. Those Palestinian occupied cities, they have 3.2 million people, and again, most of the cities and the villages are being connected by crossings or checkpoints, military checkpoints that are being controlled by the Israeli occupation. in which the Israeli occupation also closes most of the time, raids most of the time, detains the Palestinians and the children, and it prevents them from prevent the Palestinian children from going to school, or hamper their route, or attack them. And of course, the West Bank is full of colonial settlements that are being expanding until this moment while we are speaking. And of course, those colonial settlements will raise their terrorism, and they will terrorize the Palestinian people in the West Bank as well. And if we speak about Jerusalem, there are around 400,000 Palestinians living in Jerusalem. And of course, Jerusalem is being under the occupation, under the Israeli occupation, in which the people of Jerusalem and the Palestinians who are living in the rest of the 1948 occupied lands and the West Bank are still defending the city of Jerusalem, especially the old city with Masjid al-Aqsa. And we hear what's going on in Sheikh Jarrah these days, and the old towns in Jerusalem, such as Sheikh Jarrah, Silwan, those towns that the Israeli occupation is practicing systematic displacement measures against them, in which the occupation wants to make a new Nakba, or a new migration, to force the Palestinian people who are living in these towns to be kicked out from Jerusalem. And again, the Israeli occupation systematic demolishing of houses is increasing every day until this moment, in which they have their own agenda to change the demography and the shape of the city of Jerusalem, to empty it or to evacuate it from the Palestinian people, and at the same time allow more and more Zionists to be living there and stealing the Palestinian houses and giving it to the Zionists, just to increase the number of the Zionists in Jerusalem, and to increase the number of to decrease the number of Palestinians there. And of course, within their attempts as well to divide Masjid al-Aqsa special division and partial division, just to give it to give certain times for Muslims to perform their salah in Masjid al-Aqsa, which is only the time of the 5 salah of the day only. This is what the occupation is trying to do, just to give the time of the salah for the Palestinians, and the rest of the time they control it, and they bring more and more Zionist Jews. They bring more and more Zionist settlers into to raid Masjid al-Aqsa every day, and this is happening until yesterday and happening until this moment. Again, the people of Palestine and especially the people of Jerusalem, they are trying their best to prevent these actions and to prevent the Israeli schemes and plans of dividing Masjid al-Aqsa, and they are participating. And as we see in social media, and this is an invitation for the people who don't follow up what's happening in Jerusalem, and especially in Sheikh Jarrah these days, to follow up on social media what's going on the Qibla of Muslimin, on Masjid al-Aqsa, which belongs to all Muslims. And of course, not only Muslims, but there are the non-Muslims, such as the Christians, who are suffering the same as the Muslims suffering in Palestine, especially in Jerusalem, where they live the same destiny, and the Israel occupation is practicing the terrorism against them as well. And if we go to the 1948 occupied lands, what we mean by the 1948 occupied lands here? There are 1.6 million Palestinians living here. Well, this land is under the occupation, totally under the occupation. But those people, they are Arabs, they are Palestinians. They refuse to live there, to leave their houses, and they are staying inside their houses. And until today, they are living under the procedures of the occupation. But of course, the Israeli occupation is practicing discrimination, and the worst discrimination ever in history against them, and they are treating them as not second level citizen or third citizen, the last citizen levels in the occupied Israel, in the occupation state Israel, that they are dealing the Palestinians and treating the Palestinians who are living there as the last level of citizenship in the 1948 occupied land. So this is in brief. If we want to speak about the numbers of the Palestinians, of those Palestinian population is mostly youth. So 37% of the population are youth in West Bank and Gaza Strip, which means that the people of Palestine, they are a young generation. They are youth. They have the abilities to perform all types of jobs, and not like some of the European countries. They named themselves like old countries, that they don't have the youth number is very 1 or 2%, or they don't go up to 5%. But Alhamdulillah, the people of Palestine, or the Palestinian population, is 37% of it are youth. 42% of the population are refugees. And again, as I mentioned at the beginning, they become refugees because they were displaced from their houses. Gaza Strip is 70% of Gaza Strip are refugees because they have migrated from the Palestinian occupied lands into Gaza Strip, and some of them, they are living abroad. Around 6 million Palestinians are living in the Arab countries, in the surrounding Arab countries, such as Lebanon, such as Syria, such as Jordan, Iraq, Libya, some in the Gulf countries such as United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and there are around 700,000 Palestinians. There are around 700,000 Palestinians in the exile in the rest of the world. So those Palestinians, as I mentioned, 42% of the population in Gaza Strip and the West Bank, they are refugees. 350,000 of those are people with disabilities, which consume 7 or 8% of the population. And most of the disabilities, only very small number that the people who are born with disabilities, but the rest of them were because they were affected by the occupation war, by the recurrent occupation aggression on Gaza and the West Bank and in Jerusalem. Most of those people with disabilities, they have been shot or been terrorized or been attacked by the occupation, in which they lost their eyes or their limbs, their upper limbs or their lower limbs, or maybe caused them to lose the eye or to lose to lose their hearing. So most of them are because of the Israeli occupation attacks. Well, if we speak about the humanitarian reality in Palestine, of the population that I just mentioned, there are 2.45 million people need humanitarian assistance. And these statistics are based on the OCHA that belongs to the United Nations. This is the latest statistics by OCHA. So 2.45 million people need humanitarian assistance, which is around 80% of the people in Gaza. They depend on international aid or in humanitarian assistance for living. And again, this is because of the siege that has been going on very long years and has affected the economy and has affected all fields of life. There are 1.2 million children who are in need, and there are around 500,000 children who challenge to pursue their education. And again, these statistics are from the OCHA that belongs to the United Nations, in which summarizes the humanitarian crisis in Palestine. Well, as I mentioned, some of the basic living indicators, if we look at the poverty rate, 80% of the people in Gaza, they suffer of poverty, of the poverty line that has been set up by the United Nations. More than 80% of the people in Gaza, they suffer from poverty. 17.3% of the in the West Bank and 50% inside the 1948 occupied lands. The unemployment rate is 50.2% in Gaza Strip, and the statistics in 2019 was around 47. So the number, the percentage of unemployment is increasing. 50.2% unemployed in Gaza Strip and 14.7% are unemployed in the West Bank. And this is an indicator that how difficult the economic condition and how difficult the life is going on in Palestine. Food insecurity, 1.6 million 1.6 million insecure people, 1.6 million food insecure people who can't provide their food, and they depend on the international aid, they depend on the humanitarian aid, as mentioned. As for Gaza Strip, fishermen are not allowed to access 3 to 6 miles out of 20 nautical miles, and this is based on the Oslo Accords, that the Palestinian fishermen are allowed to hunt or to fish, go deep into the sea up to 20 nautical miles. But unfortunately, as the case for Gaza, only 3 to 6 miles, and sometimes the occupation will allow to 9 miles, and sometimes 0 miles are not allowed to fish at all. And the fishermen of Gaza are considered amongst the poorest sector of the people who are living in Gaza as well. And of course, this is reflected on the amounts of fish available in the Palestinian market, especially in Gaza Strip, that within 3 miles there are not any amounts of fish to be fished and to be sold in the market. And this makes the prices of fish are very expensive, and not all people are capable or able to buy fish. If we go to the electricity, we have another crisis also. In Gaza Strip, the electricity supply is not more than 10 to 12 hours a day, and this has been going on since 2006. When the Israeli occupation, they have bombed the Palestinian power station, the only power station in Palestine, in Gaza, have been bombed by the Israeli occupation. And since then, we sometimes get 4 hours of electricity a day. Sometimes we get 6 hours of electricity a day. Sometimes we get 8 hours of electricity a day. In best cases, we get 10 to 12 hours a day. And of course, this is in a system, like it will be 8 hours on and 8 hours off, 6 hours on, 12 hours off. So sometimes based on the amount of fuel available to generate the power station, the system of electricity will be based on that. So every time or every while there will be a change in the system or in the schedule of distributing electricity into the governorates of the Gaza Strip. And of course, another crisis of the even the employed or the people who are being employed by the government. They receive 50%. They used to receive 40 or 45% of their salaries, and now they receive 50, sometimes 65 to 65% of their salaries. And this is also another crisis or another problem, that not only the unemployed people who are suffering, but even though the employed, the employees, the government employees, they suffer as well, as they lack of receiving the total amount of their salary due to the shortage of the budget in the governments. And if we go to other government and infrastructure, Gaza Strip, based on the United Nations reports, 90% of the water resources of West Bank, they are used by the Israeli occupation or controlled by the Israeli occupation. And this is one of the another aggression or another critical sword or a critical weapon that the Israeli occupation they are using against the Palestinian people in the West Bank. As they control the resources of water, and 90% of the water in the West Bank is being controlled by the Israeli occupation. In Gaza, 97% of the fresh water is unsuitable for human consumption. And imagine that drinking water is not clean, is not suitable for consumption. So people have to buy drinking water and the fresh water again. And this is very expensive for them. And of course, it will, it will be a burden on the families as well to provide the drinking water. 40% of Gaza's population receive just 5 to 8 hours of water supply every day. And when we mean this, we mean by the municipalities provision of water to the people as they pump into the network, the water networks, 5 to 8 hours of water. So people must have tanks on top of their houses so they can fill up the water tanks. And this is not for consumption, not for drinking or cooking, but for washing only, and irrigation as well. So they receive 5 to 8 hours of water supply every 3 days. And this is another one of the problems is because of the lack of electricity. And of course, once there is no electricity, there will be the generators as alternatives, and they are very expensive and they consume lots of fuel. So that's why they can't afford pumping water 24 hours for the people as well. And there are 1.4 million, including around 8,000 refugees in camps, face restricted access to basic health care. And of course, those people who suffer from this is also of the main reason of the health problems is the occupation, as they prevent the people from Gaza going to the West Bank to receive medical treatment in the West Bank. We must go through the Israel occupation checkpoints, and there they will be restricting the Palestinian movement. The same thing, they are restricting and not allowing the entry of medical equipment, the entry of medical medicines as well. And of course, there are types of medicines that have been 10 years not being allowed to Gaza. And of the most and the basic medicines, there will be only very shortages in it. They will allow to enter to Gaza with very amounts, or they won't allow it at all. And if we go to the coronavirus, the COVID-19 that has affected the whole world, and I follow up the news in Malaysia and the statistics in Malaysia as well. There are very big numbers, sometimes goes up to 20,000 numbers, sometimes 17,000 numbers, 17 to 20,000 casualties a day, or new cases being infected. The same thing in Gaza, but Alhamdulillah, Gaza is being reduced because not so much people traveling and from on coming back to Gaza, but we also have suffered the COVID-19, and the COVID-19 pandemic has also exhausted the medical institutions in Palestine, in West Bank and Gaza Strip. And until today, this is last night's statistics, 5,583 people have died from COVID-19 in Gaza Strip and West Bank, and there are around 700,000 people have been infected with COVID-19. And this is almost 1/4 of the population, or half of the population in West Bank and Gaza Strip. If we look at this map, this represents the Gaza Strip, the crossings of Gaza Strip. If we look south here to Rafah, to the dot point, Rafah is the only outlet for people in Gaza to be with Egypt. So if people in Gaza want to travel to the rest of the world, they have to go to Rafah, travel all the way to Cairo in a very, very, very long journey. It used to take 6 hours before, but now it takes around 1 to 3 days traveling from Gaza to Cairo and coming back from Cairo to Gaza, as it's a very long way and it's not an easy way. So Rafah, now these days it's open. Rafah is the only outlet with from Palestinian to an Arab country, which is Egypt. But if we look to the north, we see the areas, the northeast part in Gaza Strip. We see the Erez checkpoint. The Erez checkpoint is this checkpoint that allows only people from Gaza who want to travel to the West Bank or to go to the other side of Palestine, to the West Bank, they must go through the Israel occupation and through air is a checkpoint in which the Israel occupation controls again, and they will refuse most of the people. They will arrest and detain many of the people traveling there, and they will hamper the traveling of the people who go there for medication. They will blackmail them to with many things to ask them work with the Israel occupation for allowing them for medication. So going through, I mean, the Israel occupation has been controlling all of the Gaza Strip from the sea, from the land, and from the air as well for 14 years until now. So you see the rest of the red dots, which is Nahil Oz, Karni, Kisufim, all of these, and Sofa, all of these checkpoints or crossings have been totally closed. The only crossing that is open, and most of the times they will close it, is the Kerem Shalom, down to the south, just below Rafah. Kerem Shalom or Karam Abu Salim. This crossing comes within the Israel occupation, and from there they will allow the goods, even the goods that are being donated to the people of Gaza from different parts of the world. They must come through Kerem Shalom or Karam Abu Salim crossing, in which again they will hamper its entry to Gaza, and they will control it. They will refuse most of the types of reconstruction materials. Now, these days, we are suffering the lack of reconstruction materials, especially after the recurrent aggressions, and especially after the latest aggression that was in May 2021, the 11-day aggression. Until now, the people didn't rebuild their houses because of the Israel occupation restrictions and measures that they are not allowing all of the building materials that are needed for building in Gaza. I wanted to share quickly about the reality of the people who are in Israeli jails, the Palestinian detainees. And this is one of the most serious issues. And maybe you hear it on the news these days, but it's boiling in the prisons because the Israel occupation measures and restrictions and terrorism against the Palestinian in the jails, in the occupation jails. They are terrorizing the people there. They are preventing them from their medical treatment. They are practicing their solitary confinement against them. Some of them have been 20 years in jail, and some of them have been. There are examples such as Nail al-Barghouthi. He has been in jail for 41 years now. Just imagine, the door of the jail has been changed 3 times, and he's still inside the jail. The door of the cells have become rusty, and the occupation jail administration, they have changed the door 3 times. He witnessed changing the door 3 times, but he's still in the jail. And we have Isra Ja'abis, one of the other examples, a female mother, a Palestinian mother that has 65% of her body is in full burns, and her fingers were melted because her car bombed while she was close to one of the checkpoints. She was moving from her house to a new house, and the gas canister in the car just exploded once, and then they accused her of committing a suicide operation against them, in which they are jailing her. In the Israeli jails, they are preventing her from medical treatment, and she's suffering 62 to 65% of burns from 3rd degree and all over her body. Her face features have been changed because of the burns. Her hands, her fingers have melted, and they are stick together. So she's suffering a lot, and she needs medical treatment. And there are hundreds or thousands of examples as well. But just in quick, there are 38 women in Palestine. There are 38 Palestinian women in the Israeli occupation jails that they need to be freed immediately. Some of them are pregnant. Some of the mothers were pregnant, and recently there was international campaign supporting the Palestinian pregnant women to deliver their babies out of the jail, not inside the jail. And Alhamdulillah, the campaign succeeded in freeing one woman, but still there are 38 Palestinian women in the Israeli occupation jail. There are parliament members, 7. There are 230 children in the occupation jails. When we say children, they are less than 18 years old. They are from 1 year to 17 years old in Israeli occupation jails. There are 1,100 Palestinian detainees who suffer from illnesses. They suffer from cancer. They suffer from tumors. They suffer from kidney failures. They suffer from breathing. And they are not allowing, the Israeli occupation is not allowing any medical treatment for them. And they have, many of them have passed away inside the jail. They have been away from their families for tens of years. And then once they were left out of the prison, they were dead bodies. So they prevented the families from seeing their sons and the children from seeing their fathers in Israeli occupation jails being alive. After long years of captivity in the occupation jails, then they were left as dead bodies. At this moment, there are 1,440 Palestinian detainees who are spending more than 15 years or have spent 15 years and more now in the occupation jails. And since 1967 until today, there are more than 220 detainees were murdered in the occupation jails. And 75 of them, they were murdered under torturing. And of course, when we say the Israeli occupation, they are using the most heinous and barbaric ways of torturing the Palestinians in the Israeli occupation jails. Well, this is just in brief that the recurrent aggression on Gaza, as we know or as we live, Gaza has been in almost 15 years, in less than 15 years, has been exposed to 5 destructive wars or had 5 destructive offensives or aggression, in which in every war there will be, or every aggression, I don't like to say war because war is being like Russia and Ukraine today. There are 2 countries equivalent with weapons, but as for us, it's an aggression because the Israel occupation, they are the occupiers and we are the occupied. So in our case, the Palestinians try to defend themselves and not to launch wars, but to try to defend the aggressions and stop the aggressions that the Israel occupation launched against them. So in 2008 and 2009, there was the first destructive war or aggression, sorry, the first destructive aggression that lasted for 21 days, in which left more than 2,000 Palestinians who were killed at that aggression, thousands, tens of thousands of injuries, the internally displaced people, people who will run away from their houses and will go to UN schools just to seek shelter. They leave everything behind and they just want to save their lives. Tens of schools, the infrastructure, the road, the water wells, most of the infrastructure will be targeted. Hundreds of mosques will be destroyed, completely destroyed or partially destroyed. Thousands of houses are being demolished, even every aggression that the occupation launches against Gaza. And of course, this has happened in 2008, 2009. Then again in 2012, there was the aggression that lasted for 11 days. And then 2014 aggression that lasted for 51 days. And this was the longest. And in 2021, in May 2021, there was the 11-day aggression that was in May 2021. And this was the latest. But of course, in every aggression, there will be more than 1,000 people to be killed and thousands of injuries. And the houses, you will see the piles of rubble of the houses everywhere. But the latest one in May 2021, it was the most destructive, as in 11 days, the amount of fire or the amount of rockets that was being used by the occupation against Gaza was unimaginable. And around 10 towers were being destroyed. So each tower, like Al Jala Tower, or one of the examples, Al Jala Tower, accommodates around 62 apartments or 62 houses, and besides the media companies and the media agencies that were in the same building. Just imagine 62 families will be homeless in seconds. Once the tower is collapsed, then the people will become homeless. And of course, the moment they leave the house just to run and to escape their lives, then the journey of suffering will begin. And I mention these examples because this is one of the reasons of the humanitarian crisis that the people of Palestine are living through. And of course, again, not only the aggression in Gaza, but also in the West Bank, in different parts of the West Bank, as the occupation is raiding the houses, the cities, the cities and the villages and the neighborhoods every night. They are detaining the Palestinians. They are storming the houses after midnight, destroying the doors of the houses. Dozens of the fully equipped military occupation soldiers will storm the house, terrorize the children and wake them after midnight, and terrorize the families and kidnap their children from their houses and detain them. Every day there are demolition orders. They are giving Palestinians to demolition orders to demolish their houses by their own. Just imagine that a Palestinian living in Jerusalem for years, and it took him years to build his house, and then the occupation will give him an order to demolish his own house by his hands. And if he doesn't, the occupation will come, destroy it for him, and then will make the owner of the house whose house has been destroyed to pay the cost of the demolition. And of course, it's happening until this moment as well. If we all of the just mentioned statistics and brief summary about the reality of people of Palestine, I wanted to make comparison between the Israeli occupation, between Palestine and between Malaysia, and the quality and the life equality of the country by using the HDI, which is the Human Development Index by the United Nations. As for 2020, the Israeli occupation has the rank 19. Malaysia has the rank 62, but Palestine has the rank 115 out of 189 countries in the world. So if we see that the Israeli occupation, we all know that is being sponsored, being supported by the West, by the United States of America mainly, and of course they are supporting them with millions of the taxes of the people who are living in the states, and this is on the cost of the life equality of the Palestinians. They don't care. You see that the Israeli entity, their rank is very high. They are in the first 20 high quality countries living in their lives. But as for Palestine, they are in the minimum, and they are occupying the Palestinians, and they have the responsibility of being responsible of the lives of the people who are under their occupation. But of course, when it comes to the Israeli occupation, they don't have any of their human standards. Well, this is in general about the life, about the humanitarian crisis in Palestine. And I wanted to share how even all of these crises and how all of these difficulties that the people are living, but how the Palestinians are still standing through, and how they are still steadfast, and how they are still going on in life, even even they are under the aggression every day. Well, first thing is the strong faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are being under test. They are being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the hardest battles to the strongest soldiers. And we hope that we are of the chosen ones to be tested with everything. And we know that what the occupation is doing to the people of Palestine, because they are defending Masjid al-Aqsa, and because they don't want to let out their lands, and they don't want to give it for free for the occupation, but they are defending it and this is what I just mentioned is not everything. If we want to speak about the things that are going on in Palestine, the crisis going on in Palestine, every sector of life is a crisis. So it's just a quick summary or summary in some of the parts, but we believe that we are being tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then as of the people of being the people support each other. What makes the people of Palestine, or what characterize the people of Palestine, that we are socially interact with each other, and we socially support each other. So in every crisis, there are 3 steps to follow. There is the urgent intervention during the crisis. So once there is an aggression, or once there is a crisis in anything, there will be the urgent intervention. And of course, this mostly depends on the aid of the rest of the world, of the donations of the people from different parts of the world. And even with internal or local donation and support, the urgent intervention just try to interfere and give whatever things to make the people just overcome and pass this crisis. And then after the crisis is over, there will be the early recovery stage, the early recovery in which will be support in short terms, just to make people follow up with life and cope with life before the reconstruction, which comes the 3rd stage, the reconstruction or the fully recovery of the crisis. And of course, these 3 steps, as I mentioned, they depend on the international aid mostly, and some local aid. And this will make the Palestinians go on with their life, and to support their steadfastness, to support the steadfastness of the Palestinian. And again, the Palestinians, they are taking the responsibility of the rest of the world, Muslims and non-Muslims, in defending Palestine, in defending the Muslim sanctities, the Christian sanctities as well, such as the churches in Bethlehem, the churches in Jerusalem, and such as Masjid al-Aqsa, which belongs to all Muslims around the world, and not only the Palestinians. And here comes the responsibility of all the people around the world to support the steadfastness of the Palestinian, and until the Palestinian cause is being solved. As I mentioned, the Palestinian cause is one of the most just one of the most just issues on earth that has been neglected by the United Nations, by the United States for very long years, and they are giving a blind eye to the Israel occupation procedures and practices against the Palestinians. But Alhamdulillah, this being very long in age won't erase the facts, won't erase the truth, and the people of Palestine will continue until, inshallah, gaining their freedom or regaining their freedom again. This is a quick brief about Give Humanity, our team. Give Humanity was established in May 2021, just during the days of the aggression, the latest aggression on Gaza, that was 11 days on Gaza. And 4 of us, these are the basic teams, the basic team members, me and my colleagues, Abdul Rahman, Mu'tasim, Tariq, and I have been working in international NGOs with experience of 12 years. So we took this experience and we just started up our a new NGO in which we seek, in which we have dedicated our mission to be a trusted human to human gateway of aid and passion for less human suffering. So our mission for humanity, Muslims and non-Muslims, and we aim to work in different parts of the world, not only for Palestinians. We aim to work in all the world, in which in the areas that they have any human suffering, and try to reveal their suffering. And our vision is to be a key worldwide charity human gate. As I said, we wanted to be a gate from a human to human. A human wants to donate to other human to reduce their suffering. And of the stages that I just mentioned of the crisis, this is the team of Gaza of Give Humanity working in field. And I'll just give a brief of some of the projects that we have implemented until this moment. This picture is in May 2021 during the aggression, in which the team are in field and trying to inspect the destruction that has been going on in Gaza. Well, first of the projects we have implemented, and we have done food parcels. And food parcels have targeted two sectors of people. First, the owners of the houses that their houses have been destroyed. Another are the poor families who are unable to provide their basic needs. And of course, they were affected of the aggression, as well as they economically were affected, and they are not able to provide their needs. So again, we have given food parcels to the people whose houses have been destroyed, and to the poor families as well. We are implementing at this moment. We have implemented and going on until this moment an akika. So if anyone wants to perform their akika in Gaza on behalf of them, we slaughter the sheep, one or two sheep, or based on the request of the donor, and we distribute the meat of the lambs to the poor families as well. We also have provided hot meals projects, and some of the donors asked to cook the meal. Some of the donors asked to cook the meat of their lambs, of their akika, and distribute the akika being cooked to the people. So we also provide this service for them. We also provided vegetable baskets, or fresh vegetable and meat, fresh vegetable and chicken. We have provided fresh vegetables, fruits, bread, and chicken, as well as chicken as well to the poor families also in Gaza. Within the beginning of the new semester or the new school year, Give Humanity has provided school bags, stationery, notebooks, and the needed things for school, as well as the uniform for the poor children whose families are unable to provide their school bags and uniform. And we have provided also Al-Qurban, Adha Qurban, a project, in which was the biggest project actually. And we have slaughtered the sheep, the lambs, and the cows, and we have distributed the meat to the poor families all over the Gaza Strip. Latest was the winter project, in which we provided the blankets, mattresses, heaters, gas canisters to the poor families whose houses are very humble, are very poor, and they are very cold, and they live in some of the refugee camps and some of the areas that they have the weak infrastructure. So we supported those families just to pass the winter without any losses, because in some areas the cold will result in the death of some of the children. And we have heard this, and it has happened once in Gaza. So trying not this not to happen again. So we tried to provide the people with their we tried to provide the people with things for winter to be worn. And I wanted to share this, that Give Humanity also has
sorry,
given
Brother
or has
Hamza.
provided. Yeah.
All right. Okay, you have another 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, right.
So I wanted to share that Give Humanity has given some support or some help to the rain floods that took place in Malaysia a while ago, and I know these days it's happening again in Kuala Lumpur. The floods and the heavy rain is going on. So Give Humanity also has given some support for Malaysia. So again, our aim just to work in all parts of the world and not only in Gaza. There are many people who will ask, how can we support Palestine? Well, pray for Al-Nusra, pray for Palestinians, boycott the occupation in all levels, fight normalization. Normalization is one of the worst weapons against the people of Palestine. Interact through social media. Please share everything you hear or you follow on social media, because we want to raise awareness about what's happening in Palestine. And this is a responsibility of the schools, the universities, the intellectual people to raise to teach their children, translate the news into Bahasa Malay, so if people can't know English or Arabic, they can understand this. Advocacy with the people of Palestine, and finally donate to Palestine to help steadfastness of the people of Palestine. And again, almost done. This is Give Humanity. Please, everyone is invited to share and to follow the platforms of Give Humanity on all the social media platforms. And thanks for your time. By your support, we rise. Thanks if I took longer than I supposed to be. Jazakumullah khair. And again, I would like to thank Peka for organizing this seminar that sheds the light on the Palestinian issue and the humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
All right. Thank you, Brother Hamza. Okay, you are not taking a long time. Okay, this short. Okay, right. So,
Alhamdulillah, thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Right. So there is one question here. How can we promote? I think that there is a slide, which is the last slide there. Okay, there is the detail of the detail of the NGO. Yeah, the Give Humanity NGO there. Yeah. Is it true that, Brother Hamza?
Yeah, you mean this one?
The last slide there. Okay, so through that we can promote the NGO to others, and also we can also donate through this NGO in order for us to help the Palestinians. Okay, so now it's 3:03. I think that we can just wrap up. Okay, any last word from you, Brother Hamza, to all of us here?
Well, my last word is for everyone, for the participants, for the organizers of Peka, for the administration, and for the hidden soldiers that have set up this seminar. I would like to say from my heart, Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and protect you from COVID-19, from the life obstacles that is facing everyone. And please, keep Palestine as the first issue in your life, because the issue of Palestine is the issue of all humanity worldwide. And if you can't do anything, just make dua and ask others to do, and guide others to help in any means. Jazakumullah khair wa barakallahu feekum. And we hope to meet you all, inshallah, very soon in Masjid al-Aqsa in Palestine after freedom, bi'iznillahi ta'ala.
Inshallah. Jazana khairah. Okay, so thank you, thank you, Brother Hamza, for the fruitful sharing and also knowledge and the survival of those Palestinians. Okay, there are some skills that has been shared by you, to all. Okay, where we can replicate is the most thing first is you have faith in Allah, and another one is people help people. Okay, so when we support each other, then we can be stronger. So thank you once again, Brother Hamza, for spending the time with us, and we hope that this will not be the first and the last okay, for you to be with Peka, inshallah. We will invite you if there is
Inshallah
any
ta'ala.
chance later. Bismillah. Alright, okay.
Jazakumullah khair.
Jazana khairan. Okay, before we end the slot, there are a few pantuns in English to all, yeah, okay, including to you, Brother Hamza. Okay, this is the beauty of the world, which can't be expressed by word. That is the beauty of God's word. Create everything with His plan, with His own plan password. You can never stand on other shoes if you never open up your brain. You can never understand on other shoes if you never experience on your heartbeat. Be happy and no worry, stay positive and avoid negative. Healthy mind to healthy body, we decide who are for us to live. The last one is kullu ma'ruf in sadaqah. Every good deed is a charity. Stay safe, stay healthy, abide with SOP. So, okay, thank you from me, Nuzam Muhammad Taha, and okay, I will see you in other slot. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you to Madam Nuza, and thank you to our speaker, Mr. Hamza. So the next will be our photo session. Please open all our cameras and show your beautiful faces with a smile. Mr. Hamza, I'm your subscriber in your Telegram.
Oh, thank you. This is my pleasure. Jazakumullah khair.
I'm following all your posting, the last about the Ukraine.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much. This makes my day. This makes me happy.
You're doing a very great things, sir. Thank you. So then we start our photo session. All right, ready? Screen one. Keep smiling. 1, 2, 3. And screen two. Again, 1, 2, 3, smile. And the last screen, 1, 2, 3. Once again, the first screen. Once again, the first screen. 1, 2, 3. And the second screen. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all from us. We already done our photo session. Then we can proceed for our next slot. Thank you for all.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Untuk next slot boleh on kan Rustia, Bang Cik Siva.
Cik Nazim moderator sekejap. Cik Musa dah ada dah.
Saya ada. Dengar ke?
Cik Musa sekejap saya cari supaya naikkan Cik Musa tu. Banyak peserta. Cik Musa cuba raise hand.
Sekejap
Ya.
Macam mana saya tak pandai.
Right. So nama dalam Zoom ni nama
Musa Nuairi.
MUSA Alright. So saya dah pilih Cik Musa sebagai co-host untuk share bahan. Okay, Tuan Moderator dah boleh mengambil alih.
Okey, baik, thank you Encik Siva. Itu DHQ, Peka. Baik, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sebelum tu saya nak cek
Ni nak masukkan tukar gambar kat belakang punya ni.
speaker ataupun suara saya clear dah?
Jelas dan clear, Tuan Nazri.
Alright, Chun, thank you very much.
Cuma Encik Musa, Tuan Musa, kami tak nampak muka
Sekejap saya tengah try.
Oh, boleh.
Okey, kita mungkin dalam 1 ataupun 2 minit kita bagi ruang untuk kawan-kawan kita get ready untuk slot yang kedua atau bengkel yang kedua pada petang ini atas satu topik yang saya ingat menarik, bangkit dari krisis.
Sekejap saya kena try
baik.
keluar masuk balik atau tak keluar gambar sekejap.
Okey, baik, kita tunggu, no problem.
Spider kenapa resist pula?
Apa dia? Sorry?
Tak ada.
Tak ada, teris.
Okey. Nampak kan? Keluarkan video. Cik Nazri.
Hello. Yes, saya. Saya tak nampak lagi. Alright.
Dah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Cik Musa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi.
Baik, kita rasa boleh mula, no?
Boleh.
Alright, Jun. Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Semoga sihat semuanya. InsyaAllah digunakan kebaikan pada hari ini dan seterusnya. Baik, khususnya rakan-rakan dan tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, datuk-datuk, datin-datin yang berada dalam live kita di medium, saya ingat di depan ini adalah Zoom, dan kita juga sambil itu kita ada live ataupun on YouTube channel live di Peka dan seterusnya. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kini saya mengalu-alukan ataupun say thank you very much kepada seluruh jawatan kuasa Indo, Puan Presiden dan seluruh jawatan kuasa Indo, Peka, Persatuan Kaunseling Pendidikan Malaysia, kerana bagi ruang untuk saya moderatorkan ataupun mengelola program pada petang ini. Dan sebelum itu, saya ucapkan thank you very much. Terima kasih kepada yang mengelola ataupun moderator sebelum ini, Puan Nuzaha dan juga Bro Hamzah. Alright, thank you very much untuk slot yang pertama. Okey, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang seterusnya yang berada ketika ini bersama kita adalah Peka bawakan kepada anda seorang individu yang sangat kena dengan tajuk bengkel yang kedua pada petang ini, iaitu bangkit dari krisis membina semula generasi pelarian. So bersama kita pada petang ini adalah Cik yang berbahagia Tuan Ahmad Musa An-Nuwairi bin Kamaruzaman. Saya story sikit, siapakah Cik Ahmad Musa An-Nuwairi ini? Seorang anak muda yang dilahirkan pada 28 April 1994. Sangat muda tuan. Anak kelahiran Edinburgh, Scotland, kini menetap di Kajang, Selangor. Seawal usia pada 19 tahun, beliau sudah menjadi pengasas kepada tangisan Syria di bumi Jordan yang kini dikenali sebagai Cinta Syria Malaysia (CSM) sejak 15 Mei 2013. Beliau mendapat pendidikan awal di Pusat Tunas Islam atau PASTI sebelum melanjutkan pengajian di Sekolah Kebangsaan Jalan 3 Bandar Baru Bangi. Baik, so bersama kita juga adalah beliau kemudiannya melanjutkan pengajian menengah di Ma'had Muhammadi Lelaki Kota Baru Kelantan sebelum meneruskan perjuangan dalam bidang syariah di Universiti Al-Ba'ad Mafraq Jordan. Betul lah Cik Musa?
Ya, betul.
Alright. So Cinta Syria Malaysia (CSM) didaftarkan sebagai NGO di bawah nama Persatuan Cinta Syria Malaysia pada tahun 11 Ogos 2013. Selepas hampir 7 tahun Cinta Syria Malaysia ditubuhkan. NGO ini sudah mengagihkan bantuan hampir kepada 200,000 keluarga pelarian Syria di Jordan, Turki, Lebanon dan Malaysia. Okey. Baik tuan-tuan dan puan, mungkin kita pernah berjumpa ataupun melihat bertemu dengan individu ataupun tetamu kita pada petang ini di stesen televisyen Asro Awani dan Asro Al-Hijrah. Artikel beliau tentang pelarian Syria pernah dimuat naik di akhbar Sinar Harian, Berita Harian, Posmo, Metro dan NST. Beliau merupakan seorang penulis buku Lelaki Terakhir Menangis di Bumi. Baik, bersama kita saya bawakan daripada Peka kepada anda Musa Nusairi. Assalamualaikum tuan.
Waalaikumsalam.
Baik, insya-Allah bersama kita pada petang ini tuan adalah di dual medium bersama, iaitu live di Zoom dan juga di YouTube channel. Okey. Mungkin untuk yang pertama inilah soalan yang pertama ataupun perbincangan kita yang pertama ini tuan. Berapa lama, kalau mungkin boleh storykan sikitlah, berapa lama tuan dah terlibat dalam kerja-kerja kesukarelawan ini dan misi bantuan kemanusiaan yang berapa banyak misi yang terlibat? Mungkin kita boleh story secara awal inilah. Sila tuan.
Baik, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Yang diberikan Tuan Nazri, moderator kita pada hari ini, pada petang yang mulia ini di bumi Malaysia dan waktu pagi kalau tak silap saya di Amman, Jordan. Kepada lain-lain saudara-saudara, saudari-saudari, puan-puan, muslimin, muslimat yang bersama-sama dengan kita pada petang ini, saya ucapkan selamat datang dan terima kasih atas kesediaan kalian untuk bersama-sama. Saya rasa lebih kepada perkongsian pengalaman, sebab saya nak ceramah, tak pandai, nak jadi ustaz pun belum lagi. Jadi kita lebih kepada berkongsi pengalaman saja. Dan seperti apa yang ditanya oleh tuan moderator tadi, untuk kerja-kerja kemanusiaan oleh Cinta Syria Malaysia ini sebenarnya bermula ketika saya belajar di bumi Jordan lah. Jadi pada awal-awal pemergian saya ke bumi Jordan tu memang niatnya hanyalah untuk belajar saja sebenarnya. Tak ada niat untuk buka NGO, ada niat untuk tolong orang yang ada di sana. Tapi apabila sampai di bumi Jordan, dipendekkan cerita, saya sampai di bumi Jordan, walaupun Jordan itu sebenarnya lain daripada apa yang kita tengok di internet, bangunan yang cantik dan sebagainya, tetapi bila kita sampai kat Jordan tu, kita punya punya pandangan tu berbeza lah. Lagi-lagi tempat saya belajar tu nama dia Mafraq. Mafraq ini satu pekan yang kecil, bukan bandar Aman. Aman tu bandar apa orang kata ibu negara untuk Jordan tu, tapi saya belajar di Mafraq, satu tempat yang kecil yang tidak pernah terfikir saya akan berada di situ untuk beberapa tahun. Dan sebenarnya apa yang membuatkan saya terdetik untuk terjun ke dalam dunia kemanusiaan ni adalah pandangan pertama terhadap bumi Jordan itulah. Macam mana bila sampai ke bumi Jordan, pandangan ataupun pemandangan tu berbeza dengan apa yang kita selalu tengok di Malaysia lah. Kita kat Malaysia ni kalau kita berada di jalanan tu untuk tengok budak-budak berkeliaran tengah-tengah jalan, lintas jalan apa semua tu satu pemandangan yang pelik lah. Tapi tidak kat Jordan, itu semua satu benda yang biasa. Budak-budak bermain di jalanan, budak-budak berkeliaran, dan benda tu sebenarnya menimbulkan satu soalan lah kepada saya sendiri. Saya tertanya-tanya kenapa begini, siapa budak-budak ni, kenapa diorang berkeliaran, diorang ni tak ada mak ayah ke, tak pergi sekolah ke, dan benda tu bermain di fikiran saya lah. Dan seminggu yang awal berada di bumi Jordan itu memang saya banyak habiskan masa itu jalan, tengok pekan Mafraq itu, tengok apa yang ada di sekeliling Mafraq, dan memang sangat ramai kanak-kanak yang berada di jalanan. Jadi saya tanya dengan seorang senior, dia kata, saya tanya dia, kenapa ramai sangat ni budak-budak ni? Pelik ni, macam diorang ni macam tak dijaga, macam tak ada orang yang peduli dan sebagainya. Jadi kami punya senior pada ketika itu dia kata kanak-kanak ni adalah kanak-kanak Syria, dan mereka ini adalah pelarian yang lari masuk ke dalam Jordan untuk menyelamatkan diri lah. Jadi itu saya rasa itu benda yang menyebabkan saya terdetik untuk melakukan sesuatu untuk mereka, untuk kanak-kanak terutamanya yang berada di bumi Jordan lah. Dan satu lagi saya rasa satu susu tubuh lah saya panggil, yang memberikan influence yang besar juga kepada diri saya sebenarnya adalah abang saya. Abang saya dulu dia tak famous, sekarang baru dia famous. Kalau tak tahulah, kalau orang dalam Zoom ni kenal dia, Nadi Al-Nuri, yang membuka Cinta Gaza Malaysia, yang baru-baru ni bergaduh dengan salah seorang kalau bergaduh pun ada sedikit salah faham dengan salah seorang influencer kat Malaysia juga. Jadi dia ini berada di Palestin. Dia berada di Palestin, dan dia satu-satunya orang Malaysia yang berada di Gaza lah pada ketika itu. Jadi apabila saya melihat dia, saya tengok semangat dia, saya tengok apa yang dia buat di bumi Gaza itu, menjadi satu pemangkin, pemberi semangat lah pada saya untuk memulakan kerja-kerja kemanusiaan di Jordan. Jadi dia itu membantu orang-orang yang berada di Gaza, dan kami di Cinta Syariah Malaysia memang kita membantu orang-orang ataupun pelarian Syria yang berada di Jordan lah. Dan kalau nak kata berapa banyak misi yang saya dah terlibat, saya rasa sangat banyak. Sebagai contoh, untuk misi kita yang terdekat adalah Ramadan Mission yang kita akan buat pada bulan April ini. Sudah masuk misi kita yang ke-9. Baru Ramadan Mission saja kita ada, maksudnya dah 9 kali kita buat Ramadan Mission, dah lebih kurang juga Winter Mission dan Korban Mission, satu jumlah yang sama juga dah 9 kali. Jadi sudah banyak misi-misi yang kita join. Cuma untuk update yang terdekat memang 2 tahun dah kita tak keluar melakukan misi-misi kemanusiaan lah, disebabkan oleh pandemik. Dan alhamdulillah bulan Januari baru ni sebenarnya adalah barulah kita keluar semula ke bumi Syria. Kita masuk dalam Syria, kita pergi ke Turki melawat orang-orang Syria yang berada di dan lain-lain juga, membawa dana hampir 1.2 juta ringgit daripada Syariah Malaysia pada Januari baru-baru ni lah. Dan kita insyaAllah plan untuk ke sana lagi pada bulan 4 bulan April insya-Allah untuk Ramadan Mission, dan ada beberapa orang artis yang kita akan bawa bersama-sama dengan kita.
Alright, so saya akan sambung ke Cik Musa. Okey. Baik, slide yang ni saya tunjukkan ataupun nak saya jalankan macam mana?
Boleh saya share sekejap.
Okey, baik. Saya stop dulu nah.
Boleh nampak? Tuan Nazri boleh respon?
Okey,
Nampak elok?
mungkin tengah on progress. Cuba lagi sekali, boleh naik lagi lah Cik Musa. Alright, okey, Jun. Okey, baik.
Okay, ini sedikit lah saya rasa sebelum kita bercerita lebih lanjut tentang Syria ini. Sangat penting lah untuk kita tahu beberapa perkara berkaitan dengan apa yang menyebabkan bermulanya revolusi pun kita sebut sebagai saurah. Kalau bahasa Arab orang panggil saurah yang bermula di Syria ini adalah disebabkan lebih kurang terdapat 15 orang kanak-kanak umur 10 ke 15 tahun, dan apa yang dilakukan oleh kanak-kanak ini pada ketika itu adalah diorang conteng bangunan sekolah itu dan mereka tulis Asyab Yurid Isqatun Nizam, yang bermaksud rakyat mahu jatuhkan kerajaan, rakyat mahu turunkan kerajaan. Dan pada ketika itu yang memegang tampuk pemerintahan Syria ini adalah seorang individu yang bernama Bashar Assad. Bashar Assad ini merupakan anak kepada Hafiz Assad. Kalau orang yang baca tentang sejarah mungkin dikenal Hafiz Assad, seorang individu yang sebenarnya sangat-sangat teruk juga membantai rakyat Syria, tetapi disebabkan pada zaman itu tidak ada media sosial, tidak ada internet yang kuat seperti sekarang, menyebabkan kekejaman Hafiz Assad ni dia agak terpencil lah berbanding dengan apa yang dilakukan oleh Bashar Assad. Jadi apabila kanak-kanak ni diconteng di dinding sekolah yang saya sebutkan tadi, kanak-kanak yang conteng ini mereka ditangkap oleh pihak keselamatan Syria ini dan mereka diseksa. Antara seksaan yang dilakukan, kuku mereka dicabut, kuku kaki mereka dicabut, dicabul dan sebagainya, menyebabkan salah seorang kanak-kanak yang ditangkap ini syahid lah. Dan apabila syahid, keluarga dia datang kepada pihak keselamatan Syria. Dia kata, aku nak tuntut balik jenazah anak aku yang sudah meninggal dunia. Dan apa yang disebutkan oleh lebih kurang lah yang disebutkan oleh pihak keselamatan adalah dikata, kau serahkan anak perempuan kau serahkan isteri kau untuk kami hasilkan anak yang baru. Jadi sebenarnya inilah yang menyebabkan berlakunya kebangkitan rakyat di bumi Syria lah. Untuk sekarang jumlah pelarian boleh tengok dekat slide yang dipaparkan setakat Disember 2021 ini untuk orang-orang Syria, pelarian Syria yang berdaftar di Malaysia di bawah UN ada seramai 180,440 orang dan 3,300 adalah pelarian Syria. Dan saya difahamkan jumlah orang-orang Syria yang berada di Malaysia ni sebenarnya lebih lagi daripada jumlah yang ditulis di sini, disebabkan ada di antara mereka yang tidak berdaftar di bawah UN dan sebagainya lah. Okey, terus kita tengok, kalau kita tengok daripada peta ini kita boleh tengok arah kemasukan pelarian Syria yang berada di seluruh ataupun di sekeliling Syria itu, sebenarnya jumlah pelarian yang paling ramai berada di bumi Turki. Saya difahamkan hampir 3 juta 3.6 juta membawa diri ke negara jiran Turki itu dan merangkumi ataupun meliputi 80% daripada keseluruhan pelarian Syria yang berada di seluruh dunia lah. Dan mereka juga lari ke Lebanon. Masa saya belajar di Jordan, mereka juga sangat-sangat ramai, dan mereka juga ada yang datang ke Iraq dan kawasan di bumi Malaysia juga ada juga yang seperti disebutkan sebentar tadi. Okey, saya rasa sampai di situ dulu. Saya serahkan kepada tuan moderator kita. Silakan.
Okey, baik. Thank you. Cik Tuan Musa An-Nusairi. Oh, rupanya abang Tuan Musa yang famous tu. Okey. So dua jiwa, dua insan, dua beradik yang sangat suka kepada aktiviti kesukarelawan lah. Tahniah. Baik, jadi saya nak meneruskan program kita pada petang ini. Jadi mungkin tuan-tuan dan puan-puan yang sedang berada bersama kita di Zoom, mungkin ada soalan ataupun ada yang ingin bertanyakan sesuatu, boleh nyatakan di ruang komen. Mungkin ada ruang dan waktu nanti saya akan bacakan. Dan sebelum tu, untuk soalan ataupun pertanyaan kepada Tuan Musa, kenapa misi kemanusiaan ini yang Tuan Musa dah laksanakan beberapa tahun, mulakan ia di bumi Jordan dan bukan di tanah air lah, bukan di Malaysia. Mungkin Tuan ada kenapa memilih Jordan? Sudah Tuan.
Okey, bismillah. Terima kasih Tuan Nazri atas soalan yang diberikan. Untuk soalan ini sebenarnya kita daripada pihak Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kita menerima soalan yang hampir sama. Setiap kali ada misi-misi yang kita keluarkan, kita akan dapat soalan dia lebih kepada kecaman lah. Kecaman orang kecam kita, orang tanya kenapa kau sibuk nak tolong orang Syria, kenapa tak tolong orang-orang yang berada di Malaysia, kenapa tak pentingkan ataupun utamakan dahulu mereka yang berada di tanah air, kenapa nak sibuk tolong orang yang kita tak kenal dan sebagainya lah. Itu soalan-soalan biasalah yang kami terima, dan jawapan saya sangat-sangat mudah. Kita buka NGO ini yang bukan sekadar ataupun dengan terdetik ataupun tercetus kita niat nak buka NGO tu kita terus buka, tidak, tapi kita melihat kepada keperluan, kita melihat kepada kenapa NGO itu perlu dibuka di satu-satu tempat. Dan untuk kami Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kenapa ianya dimulakan di bumi Jordan, kenapa kita tidak buat di bumi Malaysia, ataupun tidak membantu orang-orang yang berada di Malaysia, kerana kita melihat keperluan orang-orang Syria itu lebih jauh, lebih memerlukanlah daripada mereka yang berada di Malaysia. Dan sebenarnya kalau kita ini ada sedikit masa untuk mengkaji, melihat, memantau dan sebagainya situasi di Malaysia, sebenarnya kita dah ada banyak NGO yang membantu orang-orang yang berada di Malaysia lah. Kita ada MPM, kita ada GPM, kita ada My Fund Action, kita ada NGO-NGO, banyak NGO-NGO lain yang fokus mereka selain daripada bantuan-bantuan keluar adalah bantuan-bantuan untuk mereka yang berada di dalam Malaysia. Dan saya pernah sebutkan, kalau contoh satu hari nanti di Malaysia ini sudah tidak ada NGO yang membantu orang-orang yang berada di Malaysia, orang-orang susah, orang-orang miskin, fakir dan sebagainya, kita akan tutup Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kita akan fokuskan untuk membantu orang-orang yang berada di Malaysia. Tapi itulah, untuk masa sekarang fokus itu perlu berbeza. Kami rasa kami ada sedikit kelebihan kerana kami hidup dengan mereka, kami tinggal dengan mereka hampir 4 tahun, 5 tahun kami berada di dalam kalangan mereka. Kami tahu apa yang mereka perlukan, kami tahu apa yang mereka inginkan, apa yang mereka impikan. Macam kami di Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kalau tengok kat slide yang dipaparkan ini, yang pertama, apa fokus Cinta Syirah Malaysia ini, memang kita fokuskan kepada pendidikan anak-anak Syria lah. Mungkin kita ada Ramadan Mission, kita ada Korban Mission, kita ada Winter Mission dan mission-mission yang lain. tetapi saya rasa apa yang Cinta Syirah Malaysia lakukan yang paling memberi impact kepada orang-orang Syria sebenarnya adalah kita memberikan pendidikan percuma kepada mereka yang berada di Jordan, kepada mereka yang berada di Syria, di Malaysia dan juga di Lubnan. Untuk makluman Tuan Nazri, kita ada 3 buah sekolah. Yang pertama, sekolah kita satu yang berada di bumi Mafraq, Jordan. Kita ada sekolah kita 2 di bumi Afrin, Syria. Itu sekolah yang sepenuhnya dibina hasil sumbangan ataupun dana daripada penyumbang-penyumbang Cinta Syirah Malaysia. Dan kita ada sekolah kita 3 yang terletak di Bandar Baru Panji, Malaysia lah. Dan orang tanya kat saya, kenapa fokuskan kepada pendidikan? Kerana jawapan saya, kerana pendidikan ini walaupun dia satu benda yang tidak popular, saya sebut tak popular, bila kita lancarkan education mission, untuk kita dapatkan 200,000 pun sebenarnya sangat-sangat susah. Dan kita faham, kita memberikan ilmu, kita memberikan education, benda yang tak nampak. Lain dengan Ramadan mission, korban mission, winter mission, kita bagi diorang selimut, kita bagi diorang makanan, bagi diorang kayu api, bagi makanan iftar. Jadi benda-benda tu adalah benda yang nampak. Jadi orang Malaysia ni kalau benda nampak dia sukalah, dia seronok lah. Tapi kalau benda-benda tak nampak ni agak susah. Kita nak buat kutipan, Ramadan mission kita boleh dapat 1.3 juta, 1.4 juta. Tapi education mission untuk kita kumpul 200,000 pun memang satu perkara yang sangat-sangat susah. Tapi daripada pihak kami, Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kita tahu kita ada kemahiran, kita tahu kita ada kekuatan daripada segi itu. Kita pergi sekolah di mana-mana pun kita boleh cakap dengan anak-anak ini, kita boleh dengar kisah mereka, disebabkan kita belajar di Jordan dan kita faham bahasa Arab. Jadi saya rasa itu menjadi satu tanggungjawab lah kepada CSM ataupun Cinta Syirah Malaysia ini untuk kita fokuskan kepada anak-anak Syria lah, tak kisahlah anak-anak Syria itu di bumi Malaysia ataupun di Jordan atau di Lubnan dan juga di Turki. Dan fokus kita insya-Allah kita akan cuba untuk kekalkan misi dan visi kita ini adalah untuk memberikan pendidikan lah kepada anak-anak Syria, insya-Allah.
Okey. Baik, terima kasih penjelasan dan juga mungkin perkongsian pengalaman untuk kepada semua yang mendengar di Zoom dan juga di YouTube channel kita pada petang ini. Baik, seterusnya Tuan Musa Nusairi. Kita tengok, kita refresh balik tajuk bengkel kita pada petang ini. Bangkit dari krisis, membina semula generasi pelarian. Tajuk yang sebenarnya kalau kita dibacakan dengan perasaan sangat menyentuhlah, kita kata bagaimana kita nak membina semula pelarian. Jadi baik, adakah Tuan Musa Nusairi yang saya ingin bertanyakan, adakah projek-projek yang dibuat sebelum ini dan mungkin ada plan program yang akan datang oleh Cinta Syirah Malaysia memberi kesan yang besar kepada pelarian ataupun untuk membangkitkan pelarian ini semula? Mungkin ada yang depres, yang sudah pasti dalam keadaan perang dan sebagainya. Adakah projek-projek ini membangkitkan pelarian berkenaan? Silakan buat Tan.
Okey, baik. Terima kasih. Apabila ditanya tentang apakah yang kami di Cinta Syirah Malaysia jalankan ini memberikan kesan kepada mereka atau tidak, saya rasa itu juga satu soalan yang sangat baik, satu soalan yang memang perlu ditanya kepada mana-mana NGO. Adakah apa yang mereka lakukan itu memberikan kesan yang besar kepada pihak yang kita panggil sebagai pihak penerima lah. Sebab kalau kita buat bagi tak tanpa kaji, jadi mereka ini akan terima barang dan sampai bila-bila mereka ini akan mengharapkan bantuan daripada kita. Jadi saya sebutkan tadi pada di dalam soalan yang kedua, saya ada sentuh sedikit berkaitan dengan apa yang Cinta Syirah Malaysia, apa yang kita fokuskan untuk Cinta Syirah Malaysia. Saya sebutkan siapa-siapa sahaja yang bertanya kita akan sebutkan fokus kita, apa yang paling penting yang kita nak bawa di dalam Cinta Syirah Malaysia ini adalah memberikan pendidikan kepada anak-anak Syria inilah. Sebab kalau kita tanya dengan anak-anak Syria ini, di mana sahaja mereka berada. Saya dah tanya dengan anak Syria yang di Malaysia, di Turki, di Lebanon, di Jordan, mereka ini nak balik. Mereka ini bukan selamanya nak tinggal ke bumi Malaysia ni ataupun di tempat-tempat yang lain, tapi mereka ini memang ada niat untuk balik walaupun mereka ini masih kecil. Jadi orang-orang sekarang, kita tak tahu bila krisis Syria ini akan berakhir, tapi apa yang kita harapkan pada hari ini, kita memberikan pendidikan kepada mereka dengan harapan apabila mereka pulang ke negara mereka, mereka inilah yang akan membangunkan semula negara Syria lah pada suatu hari nantilah. Tak kisahlah, mungkin kita perlu masukkan mereka, kita perlu bagi ilmu kepada mereka 5 tahun ataupun kita perlu bagi ilmu kepada mereka 10 tahun untuk mereka menjadi orang yang lebih baik, orang yang berguna dan sebagainya. Jadi itu adalah apa yang kita akan buat. Kalau 5 tahun kita akan buat, insyaAllah 5 tahun kita akan teruskan apa yang kita lakukan sekarang. Kalau 10 tahun, 20 tahun kita perlu bagi kepada mereka sementara menunggu aman itu datang balik untuk mereka balik ke negara mereka. Itu adalah apa yang kita akan lakukan. Kita selagi ada kekuatan, ada rezeki yang Tuhan bagi, kita akan cuba untuk membantu mereka lah. Saya rasa saya sharekan sedikit. Mungkin gambar, ini adalah education mission sekolah kita yang pertama dan sekolah kita yang kedua. Ini adalah apa yang kita lakukan lah. Saya rasa sekolah kita memang nama dia sekolah kita 1, sekolah kita 2, sekolah kita 3 ini. Kenapa kita berbeza dengan sekolah-sekolah yang orang lain? But sekolah ini yang pertama kita bukan untuk bisnes lah. Kami ini tidak akan kaya lah buka sekolah. Kalau orang kata buka sekolah akan kaya, kami kata sekolah yang kami buka ini tidak akan menjadikan kami kaya. Ini adalah sekolah percuma untuk mereka, dan apabila kita panggil sekolah percuma, kalau orang kata sekolah percuma ni tak bagus, akan buat sambil lewa dan sebagainya, kita akan nafikan. Kita akan beritahu kepada mereka sekolah yang cinta Syariah Malaysia buat, kita buat betul-betul, kita buat sungguh-sungguh. Sekolah kita yang pertama di Jordan, kita ikut silibus daripada sekolah di Jordan dan di Syria, kita campurkan. Untuk sekolah yang kedua di bumi Syria juga sebenarnya sama juga, memang kita ikut silibus orang-orang Syria, dan sekolah kita yang ketiga di bumi Malaysia ini kita memang mengikut silibus IGCSE lah, yang mana mereka ini kalau pergi ke mana-mana pun kita harapkan walaupun sijil tu orang kata tak penting, tapi bagi kami sijil yang valid itu juga adalah salah satu nilai tambah kepada anak-anak Syria yang belajar di sekolah. Ini education mission. Kalau orang tanya adakah kita memberikan pendidikan saja? Tidak. Kita buat juga Ramadan mission. Saya ringkaskan, kita ada Korban mission, kita ada Winter mission, yang mana semua ini kita cuba memberikan kepada penerima-penerima yang berbeza pada setiap tahun, supaya ialah
Bila Cik Musa? Tuan masih dalam keadaan ke? Okey, baik.
Okey. Saya ceritakan lebih detail berkaitan dengan sekolah. Tadi saya sebutkan sekolah kita yang pertama di Jordan, sekolah kita yang kedua di Afrin Syria, dan sekolah kita yang ketiga ini di Bangi lah. Dan sekolah-sekolah ini ada yang dah 5 tahun, ada yang 4 tahun, ada yang dah 3 tahun. Sekolah Afrin sebagai contohnya baru lagi kita buka. Sebelum ni sekolah kita ada di dalam Turki, tapi kita pindahkan untuk masuk ke dalam Afrin Syria ini untuk memenuhi keperluan yang lebih penting lah, kerana mereka tidak ada sekolah dan sebagainya. Okay. Saya skip. Okey, saya tunjuk gambar lah. Seorang yang mendengar ni dia suka gambar. Okey, sekolah kita yang pertama di Mafraq Jordan. Saya rasa semua orang pun kenal siapa yang ada dalam tu. Ada Faizal Tahir, ada Nur Saleh, Aizat Amdan, ada Miss Nina. Jadi mereka ini yang datang ke Jordan, tak silap saya 2016, kalau tak silap saya, mereka datang untuk merasmikan sekolah kita satu yang dibuka di Mafraq Jordan. Saya ceritakan sedikit tentang sekolah ini. Kalau orang tanya adakah ianya memberi impact atau tidak, untuk seminggu yang pertama budak-budak datang sekolah, saya ingat lagi. Saya banyak kali sebutkan kisah ni lah. Kalau ada orang nak tahu apa yang berlaku dalam sekolah kita satu ini, seminggu yang pertama kita lebih kepada sesi perkenalan dengan budak-budak. Mereka pada ketika itu masih lagi takut-takut dengan orang dan sebagainya. Dan apa yang kita Cinta Syirah Malaysia lakukan ketika itu ialah kita bagi kertas dan pensel untuk mereka, dan mereka ini dibenarkan untuk melukis apa sahaja yang bermain di fikiran mereka lah. Dan saya boleh sebutkan mungkin 80% daripada kanak-kanak yang melukis ini, apa yang mereka lukis, kalau kita lukis rumah, kita lukis kereta dan lain-lain. Tapi anak-anak Syria ini mereka melukis bom, mereka melukis kereta kebal, mereka melukis jet, mereka melukis orang putus kepala, mereka melukis orang putus tangan. Yang apabila kita tanya gambar siapa yang mereka lukis, dia akan kata itu adalah rumah dia. Dia akan kata masa aku di Syria aku nampak kereta kebal lalu depan rumah aku. Masa aku di Syria aku nampak jet yang lalu di dekat atas rumah aku. Di Syria ayah aku dibunuh sampai putus kepala, sampai putus tangan. Itulah apa yang dijawab oleh mereka, dan mereka ni kecil-kecil. Tak kisahlah kita tanya dengan budak yang besar sikit, maksudnya sekolah rendah, ataupun dengan budak-budak tadika, mereka ini akan memberikan jawapan yang sama. Ayah mereka dibunuh, adik-beradik mereka dibunuh, pakcik mereka dibunuh. Dan apa yang kita lakukan di Cinta Syirah Malaysia, kita ini untuk mengajar anak-anak Syria ini berbeza dengan cara ataupun bagaimana kita ajar anak-anak Malaysia lah. Anak-anak Malaysia ni masuk sekolah, kita boleh ajar ABC, kita boleh terus ajar membaca, menulis, mengira. Tetapi anak-anak Syria ini memang kita bermula dari kosong. Apa yang kita buat beberapa bulan yang pertama, kita bagi kasih sayang. Kita beritahu dekat dia, anak-anak, sekolah ini sekolah yang selamat, sekolah ini tidak ada orang jahat, sekolah ini tidak ada bom, sekolah ini tidak ada kereta kebal yang akan datang dan sebagainya. Kenapa? Kerana kita nak memulihkan psikologi anak-anak Syria ini supaya mereka suka datang sekolah, supaya mereka gembira untuk datang ke sekolah, supaya mereka rasa sayang dengan ilmu itulah. Dan kesan dia memang kita boleh nampak selepas hampir 5 bulan, 6 bulan kita buat perkara itu, kita suruh cikgu-cikgu juga buat perkara yang sama. Bila kita bagi kepada anak-anak ini, kita bagi kertas, kita bagi pensel, sama yang macam seminggu yang awal kita buka sekolah. Dan sangat-sangat terkejutlah kerana apa yang mereka lukis pada ketika itu adalah mereka mula melukis rumah, mereka mula melukis kereta, mereka mula melukis kedai, mereka mula melukis bangunan-bangunan yang apabila kita tanya apa yang mereka lukis, mereka ini mula ada impian, mereka ini nak beli kereta nanti besar-besar, nanti besar-besar diorang nak ada kedai, nanti besar-besar diorang nak ada rumah. Jadi saya rasa kejayaan 5 bulan, 6 bulan yang pertama Cinta Syirah Malaysia pada ketika itu adalah kita berjaya membina impian untuk anak-anak Syria lah pada ketika itu. Itu kalau saya nak ceritakan sedikit pengalaman untuk sekolah kita satu yang di bumi Jordan saja. Ini belum lagi kita masuk sekolah kita yang kedua dan yang ketiga lah. Jadi sekolah-sekolah yang kita bina ini sekolah kita dua yang terletak di Afrin, Syria. Satu sekolah yang sangat besar yang boleh masuk 400 orang sekali dalam satu masa, yang kita rasmikan baru-baru ni pada bulan Januari. Dan untuk makluman Tuan Nazri, sekolah ini kita bina dengan kos 220,000 sahaja. Kalau kat Malaysia ni saya rasa sekolah besar macam ni, cantik ni 1 juta, 2 juta lah. Tapi disebabkan kita buat betul-betul, kita nego betul-betul, alhamdulillah kita berjaya dengan kos yang rendah, kita berjaya membina sekolah-sekolah yang cantik untuk memberi peluang kepada anak-anak Syria untuk belajar lah. Ini sekolah kita yang kedua dan ini sekolah kita yang ketiga yang terletak di Malaysia lah. InsyaAllah saya rasa untuk yang kat Malaysia ni anytime Kalau kawan-kawan kita yang berada di Malaysia nak datang, kita sangat mengalu-alukan kedatangan tamu. Kalau kata tak nak bawa duit ke, tak nak bawa sumbangan pun tak apa. Bukan itu yang anak-anak perlukan. Anak-anak Syria ni, dia kalau kita datang dekat dia, kita usap kepala dia pun, saya rasa itu adalah satu tindakan yang memberi kesan yang sangat besar kepada mereka lah. Kerana mereka kat Malaysia ni, dia boleh kata mereka ini agak terasing lah. Sebab orang ni cakap Arab kan, tak ramai orang Malaysia yang boleh cakap Arab. Kalau English tu ramai, tapi Arab ni mungkin tak ramai. Jadi mereka ni bila kita datang duduk dekat dengan mereka, kita sebenarnya bagi tahu kepada mereka yang kita sentiasa ada untuk mereka. Kita akan bantu mereka. Mereka adalah saudara kita, saudara sesama Islam yang akan kita cuba untuk bantu. Dan mereka ini yang paling penting bukan pelarian, tapi adalah tetamu yang datang ke bumi Malaysia, dan kita perlu memberikan mereka ini yang paling penting adalah nikmat zaman kanak-kanak mereka lah. Sebab dia orang kat Syria ni tak ada nikmat lah. Perang lah, kena bom lah, kena itu inilah, mak ayah tak ada. Mungkin adik-beradik dia ada yang sakit lah, ada yang cacat, pakcik dibunuh dan sebagainya. Itu adalah kisah biasa. Kalau kita datang sekolah, pakcik aku kena tangkap, kena penjara lah, sampai sekarang tak tahu kat mana lah. Tapi bila kita duduk dengar kisah mereka, saya rasa itu merupakan satu mesej yang kita hantar kepada anak-anak ini, untuk bagi tahu yang mereka tidak kesorangan, mereka tidak kesunyian, mereka ada orang-orang yang sedia untuk membantu di sekeliling mereka lah. Saya rasa itu saja berkaitan dengan soalan ketiga lah. Adakah projek yang dijalankan CSM itu memberi kesan besar? Jadi Wallahualam.
Okey, baik, thank you Tuan. Mungkin kita masa tu masih ada dalam 10 minit lebih kurang. So sekiranya ada dalam rakan-rakan ataupun tuan-tuan dan puan yang tengah live yang ada soalan ataupun nak terus bertanya dengan panel kita, boleh teruskan ataupun nak type di ruang mesej, saya akan bacakan. Okey, saya buka lebih kurang dalam 1-2 minit. Terus sebelum tu Tuan, di sekolah kita tiga yang di Bangi tu, bilangan murid ramai.
Di Bangi sahaja ada lebih kurang 70 orang.
70 orang.
Di Bangi sahaja.
So majoriti kat situ adalah pelarian dan ada yang mak ibu ayah tak ada macam tu.
Kalau tak silap saya, mak ayah ada, cuma adalah yang pakcik meninggal, yang pakcik penjara, makcik kena tangkap, nenek dia kena itu ini, itu memang biasalah sana. Tapi yang datang kat Malaysia dan belajar di sekolah kita yang tiga ni, memang tak silap saya tak ada anak yatim lah. Saya tak tahu yang latest, sebab orang baru masuk daftar juga. Kalau yang data latest saya tak pasti.
Okey, mungkin nanti ada rakan-rakan yang mungkin saya sendiri pun teruja ni nak sampai ke sekolah kita tiga tu. Dan mungkin rakan-rakan yang lain pun boleh kontak terus dengan Tuan Musa ataupun macam mana kalau nak ke sekolah berkenaan.
Okey, dekat sini kita ada paparkan nombor akaun, di mana office kami, nombor mana yang boleh di-call, dan saya rasa yang paling senang email lah. Email kita di cintasyirahmalaysia@gmail.com, bagi tahu tujuan, bagi tahu bila dan sebagainya, dan insyaAllah akan ada tim kita yang akan reply lah, insyaAllah.
Okey, baik, thank you. So kita dah di penghujung, tinggal sebelum jam 4 lebih kurang. So Tuan Musa Nusyairi, ada kata-kata terakhir sebelum kita serahkan kepada Urustia Induk.
Okey, mungkin sikit saya ambil kesempatan untuk ucapkan ribuan terima kasih atas jemputan kalian. Walaupun saya rasa lebih ramai lagi orang yang lebih layak untuk bercakap di platform yang disediakan, tapi saya sangat-sangat berharap apa yang disebutkan sebentar tadi mungkin sedikit sebanyak memberikan sedikit kesan lah, ataupun memberikan pengajaran ataupun ilmu apa sajalah yang boleh diambil daripada apa yang saya sebutkan sebentar tadi, dan kita sebenarnya untuk akan datang kita sangat-sangat mengharapkan kerjasama daripada semua pihak, sebab senang je saya punya prinsip kerja-kerja kemanusiaan ini adalah kerja semua orang, bukan kerja NGO sahaja. Sebab itu ianya dinamakan kemanusiaan. Ada perkataan manusia di dalam kemanusiaan itu yang menjadi ataupun menunjukkan kemanusiaan itu perlu dilakukan oleh semua orang lah. InsyaAllah untuk akan datang, kalau ada nak datang sekolah ke ataupun sekadar nak sembang tentang apa sahaja berkaitan dengan Syria, berkaitan dengan NGO dan sebagainya, insyaAllah kita sangat-sangat terbuka. Sekali lagi terima kasih Tuan Nazri, moderator kita petang ini. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, thank you dan terima kasih banyak dan syukran jazilan kepada Tuan Ahmad Musa An-Nuwairi bin Kamaruzaman, Presiden Cinta Syria Malaysia atas ruang masa dan juga ruang idea untuk kita berkongsi dalam bengkel yang kedua pada petang ini, bangkit dari krisis, membina semula generasi pelarian. InsyaAllah apa yang hasrat yang kita bersama ini akan mencapai kepada apa yang kita aimkan ataupun kita hasratkan. Semoga kita semua berada dalam rahmat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala dan menjadi ia sebagai bekal ataupun bekalan amal ibadah kita ke dunia ataupun ke akhirat nanti insya-Allah. Okey, baik. Jam di jam di tangan saya 3:56 petang. Jadi saya akan serahkan majlis kepada Jabatan Pasar Induk ataupun HQ di Peka. Jadi saya Cikgu Muhammad Nazri bin Yaakob, Kaunselor Pendidikan Daerah Baling, selaku moderator pada petang ini. Mohon ampun dan maaf andai ada tersalah. Yes. Ada soalan ke? Okey, andai kata saya tersalah ataupun tersilap bahasa atau panggilan kepada tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, so saya minta maaf. Jadi saya serahkan kembali kepada HQ Peka di Selang. Silakan tuan. Tuan Siva atau siapa tu? Silakan tuan.
Okey, terima kasih kepada Tuan moderator kita Encik Muhammad Nazri yang dah, saya rasa yang ramai dah kenal tu, bukan sekali moderate, dah lebih dari sekali ya. Terima kasih kepada Encik Musa Encik Musa Anwari dari CSM kami mewakili Peka lah mengucapkan terima kasih. Dan moga usaha-usaha Encik Musa ni diteruskan, moga diberkati dan ramai yang akan bersama dengan Encik Musa. You're not alone Mr. Musa ya. So hopefully sesi hari ini sangat bermanfaat. Agak baik jugalah kita masih ada lagi 2 minit. So kita boleh buat sesi bergambar dan kita boleh buat satu sesi awal sebelum masuk sesi sidang selari hari ini. Okay, terima kasih. So kita nak buat sesi bergambar, diminta semua peserta untuk membuka kamera dan menunjukkan muka yang anda yang ceria dan dalam keadaan senyum. Okey ya. So, kita ambil gambar Encik Musa dengan moderator dulu. Okey. Seterusnya gambar beramai-ramai. Alright, skrin pertama diminta semua membuka kamera Cepat-cepat sikit ya. Encik Musa, okey ada dah. Alright, sekejap semua gambar nampak macam jam sikit. Okey, 1, 2, 3 skrin pertama. Senyum okey. Okey, skrin kedua 1, 2, 3. Skrin ketiga 1, 2, 3. Okey, dah berakhirnya sesi kedua pada hari ini. Terima kasih kepada dua insan yang kita ucapkan sangat terima kasih lah ya. So kita nak teruskan pada sesi seterusnya. Anda semua boleh terus bersama. So saya menjemput tim teknikal untuk membuat tayangan video sebagai pra sesi sidang selari kita. Right, masih kepada tim teknikal yang telah membantu dari segi dalam aspek sesi tayangan tadi ya. Okay, jam dah 42 minit. Okay, so terima kasih kepada semua. Selamat sejahtera. Sebelum kita nak masuk sidang selari pada hari ini, kita nak buat seperti penerangan yang ringkas. Sebab kita menggunakan Zoom dan kita akan breakout room. So dia agak mungkin ada benda baru bagi kita. Mungkin ada yang akan menghadapi kesukaran. So kita nak membantu lebih awal. Kita tak nak selepas mula sidang selari ada masalah-masalah yang muncul tetapi anda tiada bantuan sampai. So kita nak bagi tahu awal-awal apa yang perlu kita buat supaya program itu berjalan lancar, sidang itu berjalan lancar. So sebelum tu okey. Apabila breakout room dibuka, diminta teknikal dan pembentang teknikal dan pengurusi sidang selari, MC ya. Kita panggil biasanya pengurusi sidang selari untuk masuk ke breakout room dulu. Diminta teknikal dengan pengurusi sidang selari masuk ke breakout room dulu. Kemudian kita akan jemput semua pembentang sidang selari untuk masuk ke bilik 1 dan bilik 2 ikut jadual masing-masing. Bilik 1 kita dah share banyak kali dalam grup. Masuklah ikut dalam perancangan tu, bilik 1 masuk bilik 1, yang bilik 2 masuk bilik 2. Okey. Okey, untuk tindakan semua pembentang sidang selari ya. Semua pembentang sidang selari akan masuk ke bilik masing-masing. Okeylah, dah sebelum jam, sekarang dah jam 4 petang. Sidang selari akan bermula jam 4 petang. Apabila dah masuk breakout room, sila maklumkan kehadiran anda di ruang chat. Nyatakan tajuk dan nama pembentang supaya pengurusi sidang selari sudah boleh tik kehadiran anda sebab ada susunan pembentangan. Okey, supaya moderator mencatatkan kehadiran anda. Jikalau anda tiada di dalam bilik atau tidak respon, maka pembentangan akan diteruskan kepada pembentang seterusnya. Contohnya kita dah masuk tapi kita tak bagi kehadiran. So pengurusi sidang dia masih akan menunggu. Kita mungkin andaikan tuan atau puan belum masuk lagi ataupun on the way. So kita akan tunggu. Tetapi bila dah sidang selari dah bermula, katakan slot ketiga, kita takkan tunggu. So kita akan teruskan. So maksudnya tak ada, kita akan terus kepada keempat, kelima, keenam. Mohon PM personally pengurusi sidang masing-masing supaya mereka boleh sort in masuk. Semua akan membentang, cuma jikalau kita ada seorang atau dua pembentang tak ada masa situ, kita akan teruskan. Okey. Kemudian anda boleh menghubungi pengurusi sidang selari melalui chat box untuk susun semula slot anda. Okey, ini yang sangat penting. Tempoh masa ialah 15 minit. 1 minit untuk pengurusi majlis akan bagi very quick introduction, pengenalan yang ringkas sangat sebab kita tak ada baca biodata panjang, nanti habis 15 minit baca profil anda. So hanya seminit saja diberi kepada pengurusi majlis, 14 minit untuk pembentangan dan sesi soal jawab. Memandangkan sesi ini hanyalah 15 minit, diminta peserta-peserta memberikan peluang kepada pembentang untuk membentang intipati ataupun slide presentation mereka. Apabila mereka membuka untuk soalan, silalah bertanya soalan. Ya, sebab kadang masa pembentang nanti bila kita tanya mungkin dah ambil masa lama, 15 minit tidak mencukupi bagi pembentang. Okey, untuk pembentang sidang selari di akhir 5 minit loceng akan dibunyikan sekali. Itu bukannya kita nak kejar masa, tetapi hanya satu peringatan yang mesra. Di mana pembentang ada 5 minit yang akhir, gunakan 5 minit itu come up with the best point, the best presentation. Okey, apabila masa 15 minit habis, dari bahagian teknikal atau pengurusi sidang selari mereka akan bunyikan loceng sebanyak 3 kali. So maksudnya masa yang diberikan untuk sidang selari sudah tamat. Kalau dah tamat, maksudnya kita terus buat penutup, closing, apa yang perlu, dan kita serahkan kepada pengurusi sidang selari untuk meneruskan untuk slot yang seterusnya. Okey, kepada peserta-peserta pula, selepas pengurusi sidang selari dah masuk, teknikal dah masuk, kemudian pembentang sidang selari masuk, peserta-peserta yang berada di sini bolehlah pilih. Nanti tengok ada breakout room, ada satu ikon, ada kotak 4-4 tu. Klik sana, nanti ada room 1, room 2. Maksudnya, room 1, siapa nak masuk room 1, masuk room 1. Siapa nak masuk room 2, masuk room 2. Katakan semasa sidang, anda rasa, tajuk sana lebih menarik. Saya nak tajuk tu lebih, saya nak perlu attend. So, untuk tajuk tu, kita keluar dari room 1, masuk balik room 2. Senang saja. Okey. Untuk nak bantu anda, semua dah masuk room, nanti jadual saya akan paparkan di main Zoom. Akan ada 3, main Zoom, room 1, room 2. So dari main Zoom ni yang sekarang kita ada, akan masuk room 1. Nanti kalau nak tengok jadual, baliklah kepada Zoom utama ni, ada jadual. Tengok kat situ, saya akan paparkan, masuklah slot-slot mana yang anda nak. Okey, itu sahaja dari saya. Saya akan mula buat breakout room.